The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Minami Oi, Santaro Mita, and Koichi Kohinata. You ever stare at your screen mid-battle, wondering why your healer just stands there looking pretty while your whole team's dying? Yeah, same. That's when you realize you've probably got someone like Minami Oi on your squad. Now don't get me wrong, Minami is not useless. She's a 2-star healer who can also shield her teammates, which sounds awesome on paper. Her strategy skill, Theme Switch, lets her heal allies with low HP and create barriers if she manages to inflict break using her chain skill. It's kinda like trying to be a mom and a ninja at the same time. Cool, but exhausting. What holds Minami back though is her reliance on her ultimate skill, Choreography. This is where she restores her core competence stacks, which are basically the fuel for all her healing. So yeah, if you're out of gas, she's just a passenger. The ultimate also deals a bit of area of effect damage, but let's be real, it's not setting the battlefield on fire. At full Transcendence, she gets a neat bonus. Her core competence stacks come back immediately when she's about to bite the dust, and she throws up protection shields for allies as a parting gift. Sweet girl. But in a game where speed and damage matter, Minami feels like she's playing catch-up with her first aid kit. Now let's talk about the freebie you get thrown at you early in the game. Santaro Mita, a 2-star support and evasive tank who brings the drama. His strategy skill, Magic Pitch number 1, Phantom, is all about illusions. He puts enemies under an illusion effect, which means they get taunted and their first attack just misses. That's right, whiffed. And for every miss, Santaro gains energized stacks, which upgrade his secondary attack into a buff skill. It's like he gets stronger every time someone tries to hit him and fails. Classic anime training arc energy. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Minami Oi, Santaro Mita, and Koichi Kohinata. You ever stare at your screen mid-battle, wondering why your healer just stands there looking pretty while your whole team's dying? Yeah, same. That's when you realize you've probably got someone like Minami Oi on your squad. Now don't get me wrong, Minami is not useless. She's a 2-star healer who can also shield her teammates, which sounds awesome on paper. Her strategy skill, Theme Switch, lets her heal allies with low HP and create barriers if she manages to inflict break using her chain skill. It's kinda like trying to be a mom and a ninja at the same time. Cool, but exhausting. What holds Minami back though is her reliance on her ultimate skill, Choreography. This is where she restores her core competence stacks, which are basically the fuel for all her healing. So yeah, if you're out of gas, she's just a passenger. The ultimate also deals a bit of area of effect damage, but let's be real, it's not setting the battlefield on fire. At full Transcendence, she gets a neat bonus. Her core competence stacks come back immediately when she's about to bite the dust, and she throws up protection shields for allies as a parting gift. Sweet girl. But in a game where speed and damage matter, Minami feels like she's playing catch-up with her first aid kit. Now let's talk about the freebie you get thrown at you early in the game. Santaro Mita, a 2-star support and evasive tank who brings the drama. His strategy skill, Magic Pitch number 1, Phantom, is all about illusions. He puts enemies under an illusion effect, which means they get taunted and their first attack just misses. That's right, whiffed. And for every miss, Santaro gains energized stacks, which upgrade his secondary attack into a buff skill. It's like he gets stronger every time someone tries to hit him and fails. Classic anime training arc energy. His ultimate skill, Wild Pitch, is actually kinda fun. It smacks enemies at a targeted range at regular intervals and pulls them together. Think crowd control, but in a baseball stadium. At max Transcendence, his Inspire stacks last 2 seconds longer, making buffs stick better on allies. But here's the catch. His whole kit takes some timing and planning. Not exactly beginner-friendly. If you're the kind of player who's switching between units every 5 seconds in a panic, Santaro will probably end up standing there, confused and underwhelming. Also, don't count on him for big damage or breaking power. He's more of a tactical distraction than a game changer. Next up is Koichi Kohinata, our hybrid damage dealer and healer, who honestly deserves more love. He's a 2-star unit that Tribe 9 just gives you. No grind, no summon heartbreak. While Koichi looks like he should be running a cat cafe instead of fighting villains, don't be fooled. He passively gains Powie aid stacks through normal attacks, and once he has enough, he can use his strategy skill, What Can I Do, to heal his team. The answer is quite a bit actually. Koichi's ultimate skill, Time to Eat, is both adorable and practical. It dishes out area of effect damage and heals the team. I mean, who doesn't love healing with snacks? Like Minami, He can also power up his healing through break effects with his chain skill. But Koishi has the edge. His healing conditions are more relaxed. You don't need a complicated checklist to get results. Sure, it takes 10 seconds to regenerate a Powie aid stack, but you can just keep fighting during that time. Multitasking king. Also, let's not ignore the fact that at full transcendence, Koishi can revive a fallen teammate with 50% HP. That's clutch. 1 second, your best unit is face down on the battlefield, and the next thing you know, boom, they're back like they never left. Minami can't do that. Tsuruko Senba can't do that. Koishi's healing is smoother, his damage is better, and his vibes are immaculate. Honestly, if you're starting out or need a free healer for story mode or even endgame content, this guy is your bread and butter. Now when it comes to picking between these three for your main team, think about what you need. Want an emergency healer with shields? Minami's got your back. Kinda. Prefer a tactical tank that turns failed enemy attacks into buffs? Sentaro's your man, but only if you're patient and precise. Need a do-it-all support that's easy to use and actually helps you win fights? Koishi is sitting there like, hey, wanna hang out? Each of these characters has their own flavor. But in the world of Tribe 9, where fights get chaotic and fast-paced, ease of use and flexibility go a long way. Unfortunately, that's why all three end up in C tier. They've got potential, sure, but they're outclassed by units that just do their jobs faster, cleaner, and harder. So unless you're committed to a specific playstyle, or just really like their character designs, these three are probably not the ones carrying you through the game's toughest content. But hey, sometimes love for the underdog is its own reward. Just maybe don't bring them to ranked matches. You've been warned. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yutaka Gotanda, Hyakuichitaro Senju, Eiji Todoroki, and Q. Ever meet that one friend who looks like a total menace but can't actually win an arm wrestle? That's Q for you. On paper, he's a solid 3-star tank, comes with taunt skills, enhanced attacks, and even enters Berserk mode like he's about to go Super Saiyan. His strategy skill, Declaration, not only forces enemies to pay attention to him, literally, he applies attention, but it also transforms into Frantic Impale, turning him into an angry porcupine with boosted attacks and an auto-dodge counter combo. Now don't get too hyped just yet. For all that flair, Q kind of flops where it matters most. Impact. His chain skill and ultimate skill, yeah, they just deal damage. No extra effects, no cool buffs or debuffs, just damage. And not even the spicy kind. Plus, he can't passively replenish his madness stacks. He has to rely on his strategy skill. In short, Q talks a big game, but doesn't always deliver. Great for drama, not so much for results. Then we've got Eiji Todoroki, the ultimate hype man in shiny sunglasses. This dude is a 2-star buffer and tank who shows up with blinding confidence. And buffs. His strategy skill, Spotlight, does 2 things at once. Taunts enemies with attention and boosts his team's crit rate by 10%. Oh, and it comes with a cool refund feature that gives a portion of your ultimate skill cost back. It's like a cashback reward for being awesome. Eiji's ultimate Money is Power is less of a flex and more of a team buff powerhouse. It boosts the team's primary and secondary attack damage multipliers for a limited time, and if he's got enough Euphoria stacks, earned when teammates hit enemies while his buff zone is active, the ultimate's buff duration gets extended. That's some next level synergy. Add in his passives, Key Player and Limit Up, and suddenly you've got a walking energy drink for your squad. But let's keep it real. Eiji isn't here to throw punches. His damage and break power are pretty much meh. He shines in teams built around buffs and needs solid DPS teammates to carry the weight. If you're trying to play him solo as a bruiser, don't be surprised when he gets clapped by a stray AoE. Next up, the tanky bodyguard with a soft side, Hyakuichitaro Senju. Don't let the 2-star label fool you. Senju can break bones and toss shields. His secondary attack is his main break tool, and his ultimate deals some solid AoE damage. The cool part? His entire kit is stacked with shield generation. Primary attack, strategy skill, chain skill, you name it, it casts a shield. Here's the twist though. Those shields cost him a bit of HP, kind of like trading in your umbrella for a thunderstorm. But that's where his passives come in. Belligerent reduces how much damage he takes, and Adachi Spirit gives him a burst of healing if his fighting spirit stacks reach max. At T5, he gets a 30% damage reduction bonus. Not bad for a shield-loving brawler. That said, Senju's damage output isn't going to win him any MVP trophies. He works best with a healer buddy like Minami or Koishi, and benefits a lot from having buffers like AG or hybrid units like Tsuruko on his side. You'll need to invest a bit to unlock his potential, but he can become a wall that punches back. Sliding in next is Yutaka Gotanda, our resident pew-pew machine. He's a pure 2-star DPS who loves to spam beams like it's a sci-fi laser show. His whole thing revolves around building up charge stacks through his primary and secondary attacks, which he then spends on his strategy skill, Extensive, to blast targets with a juicy AoE hit. And then there's his ultimate, Full Commitment, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a massive beam AoE that gets stronger based on how many charge stacks you're using. Every stack gives it an extra 1% crit rate boost. And if you reach Transcendence level 5, that ultimate can melt faces. His second passive even gives attack buffs to the entire team, which is a nice little cherry on top. Yutaka is super simple to use. He's like your go-to guy for no-fuss damage. But there are some caveats. Spamming beams drains your stamina fast, so you'll need to watch your positioning and not go full kamikaze. And while his damage is fine, it doesn't quite stack up to the heavy-hitting 3-star DPS units. So what ties these B-tier characters together? They're solid, reliable, sometimes even really good in the right setup, but they all have a limit. Q wants to be flashy but lacks consistent output. AG's a fantastic team player but won't carry on his own. Senju's tough but needs babysitting. And Yutaka, great at damage, but not game-breaking. If you love building specific team comps or you just vibe with their personalities, they're totally worth investing in. But if you're chasing meta or trying to clear the hardest content, you might want to look a little higher on the tier list. Still, B tier isn't bad. It just means these characters shine brightest when given the right team, the right situation, and maybe a little extra love. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yo Kuronaka, Gyotaki no Gawa, Roku Saigo, and Tsuruko Semba. You know that moment in a game where you're not looking for the flashiest hero or the ultimate carry, but just someone reliable who won't let you down mid-battle? That's exactly the vibe of our A-tier gang in Tribe 9. They're not broken, but they've definitely got your back. Whether it's by soaking hits, healing your squad, or quietly poisoning the entire enemy team. Let's kick things off with Tsuruko Semba, the sniper/healer who proves that multitasking isn't just a myth. She's a limited 3-star unit, and her role is as elegant as her playstyle. She dishes out consistent ranged damage while also offering your team a clutch heal. Her ultimate skill is a full party attack that doesn't just hurt enemies, it also applies a Turning Tides buff to your team. This means when any ally's HP drops below 50%, they bounce back with 50% of their max HP. That's basically a second life on standby. Her normal attacks also increase Twilight's Embrace stacks, giving her even more support power. The only downside? Her breaking capability is pretty much non-existent, so you won't be relying on her to crack enemy defenses. Moving on to a literal wall of a man, Roku Saigo. He's a free 2-star tank, but don't let the star count fool you. This guy could probably tank a train and walk it off. His strategy skill, Shock Absorber, makes him near invincible by reducing damage taken by 70% at the cost of stamina. And while he's just chilling and absorbing all that pain, he builds up rage which not only increases his defense, but also gives him passive HP regeneration. It's like the more he gets hit, the stronger and healthier he becomes. Classic anime logic, right? Now let's talk about poison, because why not make your enemies suffer slowly? Gyotaki no Gawa is your go-to 3-star debuffer if you like watching health bars melt. His whole kit revolves around a venom mechanic, stacking poison that deals damage over time and eventually detonates for AoE damage. Oh, and he reduces armor by 25% too. He can deal a bit of break damage, but the real value lies in playing the long game. Gyo isn't for the impatient. He's all about timing, strategy, and making enemies regret every decision. Next up is Yo Kuronaka, our protagonist and an all-around nice guy, who also breaks bones and heals friends. A 2-star breaker with healing abilities, Yo delivers melee attacks that are fast and flashy. When his burst drive activates, he gets extended range and unlocks his strategy skill, Hitting Stride, which slashes enemies and knocks them off balance. His ultimate is a multi-hit lunge that becomes even more powerful at Transcend 5, applying a 50% break damage taken debuff to enemies. And the coolest part? While Burst Drive is active, a portion of the damage he deals heals your entire team. He's like a one-man wrecking crew and mobile medic in one. Tsuruko and Yo might both offer healing, but they do it in such different ways. Tsuruko is the calm guardian angel, sniping from afar and patching you up at the perfect moment. Yo's the kind of guy who'll punch an enemy in the face and say, "Don't worry, I got you," as your HP mysteriously climbs back up. It's chaotic, but it works. Roku Saigo, on the other hand, is all about presence. You drop him into battle and suddenly enemies start hitting him instead of your squishy DPS. And the more they do, the more rage he builds. And the more rage he builds, the less they can kill him. He doesn't need to heal others. He is the heal. His damage is meh, but who cares when he refuses to die? Then there's Gio, the silent killer of the group. He won't dazzle you with flashy animations or giant swords, but give him a few turns and suddenly the enemy team is coughing up their health bars. He's a bit of a slow burn, literally. But in the right hands, his venom stacks can become deadly. You just need to be patient and know when to trigger that poison detonation. All four of these characters are solid A tier for a reason. They don't dominate the meta, but they definitely hold their own. They're perfect if you're tired of high-maintenance units or glass cannon DPS that collapse under pressure. This squad brings stability, consistency, and just enough flair to stay fun. Another big plus? Most of these units are free or relatively easy to obtain, so if you're playing as a free-to-play user or just starting out, these characters can carry you through the early game, and even help out in the late game when built properly. Of course, they're not without their flaws. Tsuruko's weak break output, Gio's slow setup, Yo's melee reliance, and Roku's lack of damage can all be situational drawbacks. But that's the beauty of A tier. They're not perfect, but they're dependable. So if you're building your team and need a reliable foundation, any of these four will give you a strong edge. Pick the one that fits your playstyle, whether that's tactical poison plays, unkillable tanks, or hard-hitting healer hybrids. Next up, we're stepping into elite territory, the S tier units. Buckle up, because that's where things get downright unfair. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Miyu Jujo, Enoki Yukigaya, Tsuki Iroha, and Kazuki Aoyama. Alright, now we're entering God tier territory. These are the characters that make you question if the devs were just showing off. When you see these names in battle, you know someone did their homework, or got extremely lucky with pulls. Welcome to the S tier, where balance is a suggestion and domination is a lifestyle. Let's start with Kazuki Aoyama, the absolute king of break damage in Tribe 9. He's a limited 3-star breaker and shielder, and he's currently sitting at the top of the meta. Kazuki isn't just about smashing through defenses, he also protects his team with powerful shields. His gameplay revolves around memory stacks, which fuel his damage output and can be used to enhance attacks. But here's the catch, you've got to manage those stacks carefully. Spam too early or too often, and you'll run dry. Play him right though, and you'll be breaking enemies so fast they won't even know what hit them. Plus, quick breaks trigger auto dodge and counter effects. Stylish and deadly. Then we've got Tsuki Iroha, a 2-star unit who honestly has no business being this strong. She's free, she's early game, and she's crazy underrated. Tsuki deals ranged damage and builds up alpha and beta balls with her attacks. Once she has both, she unleashes her strategy skill, Iroha Ball Delta, which makes enemies more vulnerable and knocks them off balance. And her ultimate? Iroha Ball Omega. It's a flashy AoE nuke that can straight up delete groups of enemies if timed right. What makes her stand out even more is her buffing ability. With every chain skill, she grants plus 10% crit rate to the party. And at Transcend 5, she tosses in 30 support points for the whole squad for 30 seconds after chaining. She's flexible, supportive, and scales incredibly well with the right gear. Let's not forget, Tsuki Iroha might be a 2-star unit, but once you level her up, equip her with solid Patamon sets and proper tension cards, she competes toe-to-toe with high-rarity characters. Sure, her AoE range isn't the best, and you might whiff her ultimate once or twice when enemies move around, but when you master her, she becomes a true MVP, especially for free-to-play players. She and Yo Kuronaka are the dynamic duo of version 1.0 if you're starting fresh. Moving on to Enoki Yukigaya, a no-nonsense all-melee powerhouse. She's a 3-star DPS focused on raw single-target damage. Her entire kit is about building up heat. Literally, as she attacks, she stacks heat, increasing her power. Then she channels all that energy into her ultimate Ignition, igniting her blade with blue flames for a devastating slash. But here's the tricky part: managing heat. If you mismanage it or get too greedy in a fight, she can get overwhelmed. She's a high-risk, high-reward unit, the kind that makes you feel like a pro when you pull off a perfect rotation. And finally, there's Miyu Jujo, a ranged 3-star DPS who is all about burst damage. Her damage comes from stacking Resonance, and once she's charged, she lets it all out with her ultimate, Resonance Accelerator. It's a high-energy blast that hits hard and fast, perfect for wiping out groups or bosses in one go. Miyu also uses luminous crystals strategically, placing them to set up the biggest hits. She's a little more technical than other DPS characters. You need good timing and positioning, but when it all clicks, she's a total game changer. The cool thing about Miyu is that she's not just about numbers. She brings utility and strategic placement into the mix. She's one of those characters that rewards careful planning, and once you get a feel for her patterns and spacing, she absolutely shreds. All 4 of these units offer something unique, but what ties them together is their insane impact in battle. Whether it's Kazuki breaking enemies before they even know they're in trouble, or Suki being the free unit that buffs and nukes like a 5-star, the S-tier roster doesn't mess around. They're not necessarily easy to master, especially Inoki and Miyu, who both require tight timing and positioning, but the payoff is absolutely worth it. Once you've got them down, your team's performance skyrockets. Another thing to love about this tier is the variety. You've got tanks, breakers, buffers, nukers. They cover nearly every role, and they do it with style. It's rare to find a team that doesn't benefit from at least one of these champions. If you're lucky enough to have one or more of these characters in your roster, congrats! You're already ahead of the curve. And if you don't yet, well, maybe it's time to start saving those gems. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.